Here. Got it.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Good morning. You know what? It is 10:20. Maybe we'll, because it ended just a little. Let's see. Do we have more people coming in? Yeah, okay. We'll wait just maybe 1 minute. Good morning. Thank you for being here. All right. I think we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody. I am Georgina Tanaka. I am one of the PTN facilitators from Downey, and I would like to introduce to you our speaker for this snapshot, Chris Gilstrap. Her presentation is titled Tapping into Student Voice to Create Classroom Community. I will be collecting questions in the chat along the way. And then at about 2 minutes, I will give Chris a 2-minute warning, and I will put the link for the presentation in the chat so you will have access to that. But I want to give Chris as much time as she needs for her snapshot this morning. So welcome, Chris.
Good morning, everybody. I'm so excited to be presenting this morning. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I was just chatting with the ladies that, 20 minutes is going to be hard, but I will try my very best. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So we already know the title of the presentation, a little bit about me. I've been in Fullerton since 2000, Cotsen alumni. I have 2 teenagers. I did say send help. My daughter saw this and she's like, did you really type send help? I'm like, yes, I did. She's going to be 18. My son thinks he's 27, even though he just turned 15. Love learning and reading, and I'm Disney and iced coffee obsessed. I wanted to share with you just how I feel about this year, and I'm sure how everyone has felt about this year. It's been a rough year. Last year has been hard too. So I put a couple things in here, like this week's been a long year. This is how I feel a little bit with my coffee. And then I'm sending you a high five for just even being here. Whether you're in your pajamas or in your bedroom. I'm in my classroom because I had a water heater issue this morning and we have no hot water at my house. So let's go ahead and get started. I was talking with actually Blair, who was a presenter earlier, and we were talking about in this 20 minutes, we're not going to reinvent the wheel. You're already doing amazing things in your classroom, but at the same time, you can polish it up, right? It started at some point, this wheel, and we want to get over here. So we're trying to move ourselves and, work on our craft as we progress through this presentation. So I'm curious, how do you feel about your classroom community right now? Is it not like it? Can you type it in the chat for me? 1 could be a bit better. 2, pretty good. 3, it's amazing. I have to stop myself from wanting to admit people because when we taught on Zoom, like it's our natural tendency as teachers to like hit admit. But anyways, go ahead and type in the chat how you feel. So I can pull that up. 1, 2's pretty good. Okay. Go ahead and move. So when I started teaching, I thought classroom community was just teacher to student relationship. Like if I got to know my kids and we had a good relationship, that's what created a powerful classroom community. But as I'm getting older, I realized that there's a lot more layers to this cake, right? Originally, when I started, I just kind of had this little small little layer at the bottom, and there's a lot more layers to having a powerful classroom community. So you want to have teacher to student relationship, but you also want to have student to student relationship. So how can you have students talk and share? Same thing with student voice and value. We're going to talk a lot about that. Engagement and fun, and mindfulness and curious learners. So we're going to kind of tap into all these things today. When we start the beginning of the school year, a lot of us do back to school class forms, right? We do some kind of get to know you activity. And when I started, I just collected them and I was like, oh, I wanted to hear about what my students knew and did and their passions and hobbies, but I never did anything with them with other students, right? I collected it, kind of looked at it for a little bit and maybe put it to the side. I do it a little bit different now. I use those to group students the first week of school, those passions together. I let them be the aficionados on certain things if they're the experts on that topic. Another thing I do to grow student relationships is we do morning journal each morning. I, again, used to just collect it and use it as a way for me to gather student voices and for me to connect with students, but this sharing piece is huge, and this lets students have voices as well. This is another thing I've added to my classroom practice is making time for informal conversations. I used to early in my career actually not make time for any informal conversations, not with my students or with parents. Like I'd open the door and close the door. I was, pretty type A, I did my lessons, but I'm noticing that they need that time. They want to tell you their stories and, what they did over the weekend. And in the beginning of my career, I'd be like, oh, tell me later, we're getting started, right? Oh, share with me later. So now I spend some time opening my doors in the morning when we have some job time and we're settling in, and I make time for that informal conversations. Another thing we do to grow student relationships is class music playlists. This is hilarious. I wrote down some of their favorites for you. Gummy Bears was a big hit last year. Break Free from Ariana Grande is a hit this year. On Top of the World, and it's one of my students' favorites is Can't Touch This, in case you wanted to know. And another thing that I've changed a little bit is Star of the Week and weekly letters. So I used to just do Star of the Week. Again, they presented their posters. I added weekly letters to this. So my students write letters to the Star of the Week at the end of the week, kind of sharing student strengths. I think the title of that prompt is share with them why you think they're awesome. They love this book. They cannot wait to get their little book. They look through it all the time. I really can see how it empowers them, makes them feel valued. This is a great back to school activity. You can do this in kinder. I might like draw the silhouette and then maybe do a dotted on the other, but it's, your portrait on one side and the things that make you, right? Your hobbies, your interests. This could be kept up for a while because you could use this, you could refer to it, you could use it for grouping and projects and things. A lot of us are doing morning meetings, so this really isn't about the nitty gritty of morning meeting. However, it does follow a predictable structure. So you do start the day with a greeting, some kind of sharing an activity and a message. The twist on this, the student voice in this, is letting students have some power here. So again, I kind of reference my growth as an educator because we're all growing each year, but I usually drove the boat on this. I usually picked the greeting, picked the sharing, picked the activity, like it was all like what I thought we needed. I made a little shift in this, and it's made a huge growth for my students. Is I have a basket out that lets them put in ideas for morning meeting. So a perfect example, this actually happened last week. We had done some work with empathy, and one of my students put in the basket that they were having empathy on the playground when their teams lose, right? How they react to each other when losing happens on the playground. And I would have probably never picked up on that because I'm not out there at that time. So giving them the chance to have some drive into what we're doing in morning meeting has been huge. In kinder, this might look a little different. You might give them some choice in books that you're reading at that time. You might give them some choice. They might be able to do some slips if you left some slips out, and they could, in their best writing, share what they think is going on, or they definitely have no problems telling you what's going wrong, right, out on the playground and such. Another thing that I like to do for creating student voice is let them co-create charts with you. So I really feel like morning meeting kind of sets the tone for the day. And we deal with behavior a lot at this time. So what's going well and what do we need to work on? Because behavior is the backbone of your whole day, right? Your whole entire day can go well or be totally thrown off by behavior. So this is a great time for students to co-create charts with you, whether it's through interactive writing or shared writing. They're sharing to you, you're writing, you have them get up and have a pen, you're putting posters around, and like maybe one of the issues that they're noticing or you're noticing. Oh, and by the way, sometimes I'll put, don't tell, in the basket, I'll put in, I'm like, oh my gosh, one of the students says we're having a hard time lining up outside. Oh my gosh, I think I've seen that too, because it can be a lot more powerful when they think it's coming from them than you. And you could put posters around, and during that time, during the activity, this could be the activity, they walk around and write ways that they can improve lining up. What are some of the rules? What are some things they can do as students to improve their behavior? So just shifting this a little bit and letting it be prescriptive. Again, I used to kind of just follow. I had like a little pacing and I was like, oh, I'm going to do kindness this week and bravery and so forth in this morning meeting time slot. But I'm trying to be a little bit more prescriptive and take a pulse of my class and what they need. What am I seeing? What are their behaviors? And kind of making the shift there. We've been doing book talks. I think this is a twist on grand conversations. So it's very similar. If I'm doing my week for that week or a couple weeks is on kindness, I might pull some books, and during the activity portion of morning meeting, I might do a book talk. So I often have sentence stems up for them to get them started. You could change these. The younger groups like kinder, you could have less and build on those, right? You could have just a few, like 3 sentence stems to get them started. And then you can add to them. This is a chance for you to see what they got out of the book. What are their thoughts and feelings? I've changed these. We were working on theme for a while, and I think I added, I think this book is teaching me. I love this one. This book makes me feel. I have a really short clip. It's for the book Change Sings, which, if you know, is by Amanda Gorman. And it's interesting what they got out of it. They really thought it was a lot about protecting the environment, and that is an undertone of that story. So you can see what they thought about it. And then you have a student who really quickly takes a pause and looks over at the chart. And it's funny, he didn't end up using any of the sentence stems, but he like needed it for a second. And then he was able to articulate kind of what he wanted to say, even without using the sentence stem. So this is a really quick what it looks like. Oh, and I have this for you. I'm not going to go over, but these are some books that I enjoy during book talk. I made this last year during Zoom teaching, and I thought it might be fun for you to have. And then here's this quick clip.
Teaching me to help the environment. I feel like the theme of this book is like spread kindness, like to be nice. When the girl was kind to that boy that didn't want to be kind to her, that was super nice because I don't think that many people try to do that. I think the main character of this book is that girl.
What do you think about the girl?
Because she's kind to other people, even when they're different. Matthew, oh my gosh.
The rolling of the ball is very exciting.
Wants to help the environment a little more and more.
So you can see I will occasionally give them a, like, what do you think about that, when I think it's kind of a surface level or when I know a student can go a little bit further with it. So again, I use this a lot in morning meeting. I'll choose an SEL topic and bring that in through book talk. I don't do book talk every day. I probably do it once a week. You want to save those novelties. You don't want to do it every day, but they really look forward to it, and their ability to talk about books and talk about emotions as well through SEL, giving them that voice, has grown from the beginning of the year. They rarely need to use the chart, but at the beginning of the year, they really needed it. I gave this as a resource for you. This is, I think it was from Lucky Little Learners, but she put together a great SEL list. Like, we don't have the time to be like, what are some good books for kindness, for bravery? So this has a very comprehensive list. This little link will take you and you can think, okay, I want some books on respect. You can pull these up and have some books ready to go. This is something we do at the end of the day. I started it last year, actually over to Zoom, and it's been a huge time for us to be reflective of our learning. Kind of like teachers are always growing, students are always growing, and being self-reflective and having a voice there. So a gem, we come down to the carpet, we have a gem, something that you liked that day, something you learned, something you're proud of, and a stem is something that you'd like to work on or get better at. So this is a great time for them to realize they're growing, they need to work. Also to kind of get to know themselves. What do they need to work on? What is something that they are weak at that they need to grow in? So that self-reflection is huge. I've seen this done at the beginning of the day too. And it can be something like, how's it going in the morning, right? So like your gem is like, okay, well, I made it to school. My stem might be, I'm tired, right? Or you might get something deeper, like I'm sad today because, my dog's not feeling well. So you can do sort of this twist in the morning as part of your morning meeting to kind of take a pulse on how they're feeling that morning. Sometimes kids come in, with lots of things on their mind, and doing a gem and stem in the morning might give you a heads up on their feelings for that day. I was cracking up because I was sharing this with Georgina. This is an actual picture of my students after lunch right here. These like crazy eyes, and they're all crazy, right? So after lunch, I'd come in and teach math right away. And it was a really difficult transition for students. They're coming in, they're hot, they're sweaty. This happened at the playground. So-and-so pushed this person, we lost. And I'm like, I need to change up how I bring them in, right? A calm classroom builds community, right? You want a calm, happy classroom. So our district put out, and I have this linked for you too, a couple slides that have a whole bunch of mindfulness videos. And what we do is we come in, we turn the lights off. They find a spot in the classroom where I say, calm your body, calm your mind. They can sit, they can close their eyes, and we watch it's mindfulness meditation. There's a few you can choose from. I like the peace out ones. Those are my favorites. And they get a chance to kind of decompress, slow their breathing down. It teaches self-regulation. And then we have some quiet time after that. So they have a chance to do any quiet activity, whether it's drawing, Play-Doh. And then I use that tail end of that 20 minutes to pull groups at that time. We also use it to do our TI groups. So it's a great time for them to come in and just decompress. And then I feel like once we're at the end of our mindfulness time, they are ready. They're so ready to attack math. They're like, oh, we had time to kind of decompress, have a little creativity. Let's do this. And I'm actually glad Julie is on this, because this Calm Spot journal actually came from Julie. I had a student who was having a really hard time. This was maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And I was sending this student outside to take a breather. I was like, okay, go outside, take a breather. I'll come chat with you. And it really escalated the behavior for him. So we came up with this idea called the Calm Spot. And it's a spot in my classroom. It's behind my desk, it has a chair, and it has this little bag. I'm going to share it with you. Calm Spot bag, and it has a journal in it. And it gives them a chance to, they don't have to write in the journal if they want to, but sometimes they have a hard time verbalizing the problems that they're having. So this particular student had behavior issues. So we would try to get him to use the Calm Spot when he was feeling kind of emotional and he was going to go to a bad place. But I've used this a lot for in the morning when students come in and you can see that they've had a bad morning. They're upset. You can see they've been crying. Something didn't go right. And we'll say, take a visit to the Calm Spot and share with me what's going on. So this is,
you have 2 minutes.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Anyways, so this is these are some entries. These are the mindfulness videos. I think classroom community is huge. Don't pit your class together and doing table points. Have them work together to earn something. So this is my class scoreboard. We do oh yeah and oh no. We subtract them at the end of the day. This particular day wasn't a good day. We had more oh no, so I had to erase a point and we earned something. I read this book and I'm going to get to it. It's such a great book called Keeping the Wonder. This is where you want to have curious learners. These are some great ideas in this book's called First Chapter Friday or Bookshare. A shift in my teaching has been being a tour guide instead of a lecturer, right? Giving them a chance to do gallery walks, let them talk, let them wonder, doing some intros to units with what's in the suitcase, right? Some pieces that can get them excited. We do a lot of fun things with flashbulb props. This is in this book as well. How can you change up something that you're doing that's been a worksheet for a while? Can you get something fancy out? Can you wear something that gets them excited? We've been doing math centers this year, and I'm not kidding. They are like devastated if they miss that day. I make that day a themed day, and it's been super fun. This is a quick video of them dancing, but I will click over it. I wanted to ask you, since I'm kind of at the end, what is something that you are proud of that you're currently doing in your classroom? You're like, yeah, I'm validated. And a lot of times when I go to conferences, I get validation. I'm like, yeah, I am doing that. So like pat on myself on the back. I'm doing some of these things that I think is helpful in creating class community. And then what is something you think I could work on that? I could maybe work on adding student voice or some of the things from this presentation. maybe you can go ahead and share that in the chat. 20 minutes is not enough time. While you're doing that, I'll go ahead and go back to some of these. I wanted to talk a lot about this, like creating the wonder. I feel like this being a tour guide is really the shift for me, that just being an engaging teacher to an empowering teacher, letting them have some voice in driving the content. It's also been hard for me because I'm a type A teacher and I kind of like have it all planned and ready to go. So I had to shift a little bit and letting them drive that with their own curiosities, right? Maybe putting some pictures up and posing some questions.
All right, Chris, it's 10:41. We need to close this presentation. I'm sorry to cut you off. You've had so many great resources and ideas. And I did share the link in the chat with everybody so they can all go back to it. The Keeping the Wonder book, that is on my list of something to purchase. But I want to thank you for your quick snapshot in your presentation. And thank you all for being here for Chris's presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
And if you go back to the program, you're going to look for session 4 for the Zoom link. That will start at 10:45. Thank you all. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you in session 4. Have a great day.